Welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have another fascinating guest. On this show, we interview celebrities, entrepreneurs, business CEOs, athletes, and artists to find out their path to success, how they're able to overcome challenges, adversity, of course, their keys to success. And today's guest is definitely somebody who can talk about overcoming challenges, overcoming adversity. He's been empowering people from all over the world to reach their highest potential because he is a catalyst for transformation. He is a Air Force veteran, a U.S. Air Force veteran. He also lost his eyesight in a motorcycle accident, but he did say that he may have lost his sight, but not his vision. He is the best-selling author of the book Don't Focus on Why Me. So please welcome U.S. Air Force veteran, visionary behind Amy Motivation, motivational force, Mr. KIJUAN Amey.
Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate this opportunity. It's a blessing to be here.
Hey, thank you very much for being here. Always enjoy speaking with people who not only have started their career one way, but transitioned to something else because of whatever circumstances they were given. And you are somebody who is absolutely amazing, who's been able to really change their lives and also change other people's lives, regardless of the situation you were in. So without ruining the surprise or the what do you call it, um the climax of the whole story, I'm gonna let you share how did you get to where you are today and what are you passionate about right now?
Yeah, I'll take you back to where it all happened, as you mentioned, I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran. I'm actually retired now, medically retired, after 10 years, 3 months, and 17 days, but who's counting, right? Um, so I was serving proudly in my country for my country in the Air Force as an in-flight refueling specialist, and that's where you refuel planes in midair. So if you want to talk about having some accuracy, precision, just the mindset and the skill to be just an amazing person first and foremost, because you have to be on your P's and Q's in every way, form, and fashion. So that was what I was doing at the time. But also, I was an instructor, so I also taught it. So whether that was teaching people who were just coming in or people who needed to be what do you call it, recurrent, like they had to get their currency back. So and the thing of it is, man, I loved every bit of it. That airplane, it might have been old, but I called it my dinosaur, man. If there was a dinosaur left on this earth, that was it to me, So um which was the KC-135 Strato tanker, and they started making those in like 1956, 57. So older than a lot of people that are on the earth, crazily enough. And it's interesting when you're going out and you bump into people who actually worked on this plane or flew on this plane, and you're just walking through an airport or even sitting right beside them on the airplane when you're flying commercial, and you just start talking. You're like, man, I was a maintenance guy on that plane back in the 70s or back in the 80s. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, that plane is so old. So that's one thing. And then fast forwarding to May 5th, 2017, I would have been in what, 6 years at that point, because I went in 2011, February of 2011. So May 5th, 2017, what some may call Cinco de Mayo, I call my new life journey, because that was when I was basically hit. And what happened was the car pulled out in front of me as I was riding down what I would call a back highway. I'm from North Carolina, and from those who know, country roads, they understand back roads and back highways. I was running about 55 miles an hour on a Kawasaki Ninja ZX6R. So yes, a crotch rocket, but was not used for those stunts and all those things. The worst thing I ever did was not know whether I wanted to go into the Burger King parking lot or not. And it's like wiggled my back tire. That's it. That's the worst thing I've ever done on that bike, man. So, um, other than that, I used to play sports like football, basketball, run track. I did it all, bowling. Never had I ever broken a bone in my life until that day. And I basically broke bones from head literally to toe.
Oh wow.
So fractured skull, excuse me, where my, face was literally crushed in. So I had to do reconstructive surgery there. So the fact that you guys can see my pretty face,
You look great.
uh, yeah, it's actually thanks to the plastic surgeons to get me back to where I was. The two metal plates started inserted into my head, and then I have two rods and 12 screws in my spine to medically infuse that because I broke that from, I think it's T2 to L4, and broke my femur. Of course, that for those who know and those who don't know, that is the largest bone in your body. So I broke my right femur and I broke my tibia, and fractured my fibia on the left leg, I believe, and also have a screw in my right foot. So when I tell you they put me back together like Mr. Potato Head, believe it. So I'm $1 million man. Hi guys, welcome, welcome to this show. So the minimal amount of cost was my teeth. That was $20,000, and that's after the insurance pays their part.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So literally $1 million man. I remember that hospital bill. I said, Mom, what's the hospital bill? She's like, you don't want to know. I said, actually, yes, I do. It's like literally. So, but anywho, I spent 2 months in the hospital at UNC Hospital in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Uh, the first month from May 5th to June the 6th, medically induced coma. Have no idea what happened other than I had surgeries done and told you everything that happened or what surgeries I all had. During that time, like I said, I'm out of it. I have no clue that I'm even still in the earth on this earth. So when I wake up, I hear chatter in my room, but I'm trying to play possum. And for those who don't know what that means, possum, they'll play like they're dead. Like they won't move. Yep. Because they think it's a good self-defense mechanism. And so that's what I did. I'm like, I'm gonna lay here. Because I hear people talking. I just want to know what they're talking about. And why are you in my bedroom? Because that's where I think I am.
Right.
And so I hear what was the voice of my ex-girlfriend. Now, anyway. And then the voice of my mother. I said, now I know why she would be here, but why is my mom in my room? Like, wait a minute here. Yeah, I don't like this story. So, they're talking and I'm listening to them talk about a motorcycle accident. I said, well, who in the world got in a motorcycle accident? That's not cool. Not even realizing that, it's not coming to me that I had a motorcycle first and foremost, but yet alone be in a motorcycle accident. Because those drugs they give you in the hospital, they actually work. They make it so you don't feel that stuff. And so I'm also on Oxy, which actually takes your mind off of, certain things. It kind of puts you in a bad headspace. And I quickly told them to take me off that because I didn't like it, first and foremost. And I did not want to be another statistic as well. So other than that, as I'm listening, and I'm like, this is getting very serious. This story is getting very serious. So I try to go and speak and say something to them and ask them, hey, what's this motorcycle accident you guys are talking about? And I couldn't say anything. It wasn't because I was incapacitated, because I just told you I could hear everything they were saying. It was because my mouth was wired shut.
Oh, wow.
Because my jaw had been broken in the accident. And I said, what? Wait a minute. Like, hold up. So all you can hear is me murmuring. Just and I'm like, And so then I go to open my eyes and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I can't see anything either. Yeah, what kind of Nightmare on Elm Street is this? So literally that's all I could think of, man. And they finally noticed that I'm trying to speak and converse with them. And so they come to my bedside, one on each side. And my mom's like, what is it? What is it? What do you want? And I'm trying my best to say what I want without being able to open your mouth. And you try that one day. Everybody listening, I just want you to try that. Attempt it.
Mm.
Don't move your don't even pardon your lips because your lips won't be able to move either.
Um,
Yeah, your lips cannot move either. So you just like literally bonded everything together. And I'm trying my best to make these words out with my voice so that she can hear it. Now, again, I have not used my voice in over a month. So I'm doing my best. And she's like, I can't understand you. She hands me a notepad and a pencil. I'm like, you know, I can't see. You got to know.
yeah.
You know, I'm sure that was one of the things they told you. His eyes probably not gonna work, you know. And
Mm.
so, anywho, I take the pens. You know, I'm like, I yank it out of her hand because I'm upset, honestly, about the fact that she's trying to hand me a pen and a piece of paper. And so I write it down. What is this motorcycle accident dream you guys are talking about? And yes, I wrote dream on there, and I handed it back. She reads it and she says, "Oh, that's not a dream." And I didn't say another word for the rest of that day. Not because I couldn't, but because I was trying to process what the frick was just told to me.
Right.
And so again, that was June the 6th. June the 7th was the day I started back trying to interact with people. And you could have did whatever you wanted with me on June the 6th. You could have stabbed me with all the needles you wanted. You could have gave me whatever medication you wanted through my G-tube. You could have done whatever. You could have been in there moving my legs around. I just did not care anymore at that point because I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. I would self-proclaim myself as one of the safer riders. I didn't, like I already mentioned, I didn't do all that wheelies, stoppies, whatever you want to call it. I don't even like hard cornering. I'm that guy. I took the courses, basic and advanced. I'm not that guy.
Right.
And I also knew since me being in the military, if I were out here being that guy, it's a potential chance that they might not cover any of my insurance or whatever the case may be if I was being reckless.
Right.
You know, so I'm smart. No, no, listen, and you're not gonna get me because I
Uh,
know people will try to cut you any kind of corner they can. Okay, and
right.
so other than that, man, once I finally got back to understanding what happened, it came to asking questions about the accident. Now, Mom, what happened? What? How did I get here? I don't understand. I know I couldn't have done this, and then that's when I found out it was somebody pulled out in front of me. You know, a police report determined all that stuff, and two cars that were behind him saw me coming, so they didn't understand why he pulled out. It was a whole debacle, man. And the other thing is, as soon as I got that process, my mindset again, I told you, I'm an athlete, football, basketball, track, bowling, you name it, I'm trying to do it.
Yeah.
And so that was the stuff I was doing before my accident. If you ask me what I'm doing now, I don't know if my list stops. You know, I've literally went downhill skiing as a blind person,
Wow.
you know, so um and I'm not tethered to anybody. I'm just being coached in my ear
Hmm.
on a you know, a headset. That's it.
Wow.
And so but going back to what my story about is as soon as I gathered myself, because yes, it did take a little while. It's not just a you know a magic button that you hit and say, "Well, let's go." No, that's not it. I mean, as great as I want it to be, it's not. But once I found that oomph and that strength to say, "We got to change something. This is not this pouting and this pity. That's not me. I don't want that." And so I literally said, "Okay, it's time to get back up." Yes, I'm not as strong as I was because I literally been laying in the hospital bed for a month. And when that term you if you don't use it, you lose it, it's real. Because I used to work out all the time. Like
Uh,
I weighed 190 before my accident, and this was not fat. Well, I'm sorry, not fat. This was like muscle. You know, 190 of muscle. So I'm running, you lifting weights, all that stuff. Being explosive on the field and things like that, and actually basketball because I could dunk as well. So I was very explosive. So when I go to now being in a hospital bed for a month, I'm like maybe 130,
Oh
140
wow.
pounds. Like you lose that muscle because you're restrained. There's nothing I could do. I could not move. They had to move me everywhere.
Mhm.
All right, time to do like they're transferring my mattress to another bed, so or to a gurney so they could push me to other places like X-ray, like surgery, like they're doing this. They're unlocking my bed, my wheels, so they could push the bed out. They're not trying to get me up. I can't.
Mhm.
My brain is like in a coma in a sense. So medically induced, but it was in a coma. And so I can't do anything. They had to do everything. Now, with that being said, yours truly did eventually get up out of that bed.
Mhm.
And I was able to transfer. It wasn't to walk yet. I still had to learn how to walk with all the things that were broken, especially that femur, man. I tell you, you want to talk about something that will weaken you quickly? Let that femur get broken.
Mhm.
It will weaken you quickly. You can try to put all the pressure you want on there, but I mean, sheesh, that bone is very. I forget what the capacity is, but if you Google it, it's something crazy. It's like tens of thousands of pounds
Yeah.
that could be put on that bone. And so, anywho, um, I'm taking or what do they call it, the parallel bars. And I'm doing my steps, which are great. I mean, don't get me wrong. Every step I took, man, I did my best to make it for not just me, but for anybody who's ever been, in a situation like mine. Like for example, my father, he's also been in a really bad car accident, like where he was ejected out of the windshield into a tree.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like he was the same way. He had to do parallel bars as well to get back into some ability of transferring and walking and moving and using walkers and all that stuff. So every time I did it, I thought of him. I said, well, if he could do it, I can too. I'm going to do this crap. I'm not joking, man. I'm out here running now.
Mhm.
Like going from literally barely pulling myself up on parallel bars out of a wheelchair to actually being able to run again. Like you and jump, not just run, but jump as well. Like you can't tell me anything at this point because I never thought I would be able to.
Uh,
It's just one of those things. And I also found that, motivation to do it because I am a faith believer. That is something that I've been like I was growing up in church. So I grew up in the church and been at the same church since I was born, basically. We just have had an old building and moved to a new building. That's the only difference, literally. And I play the drums there. I do. I'm a I'm a youth administrator there. So I do all kinds of things. If they ask me to do something, I'm more than willing and also more than likely going to do it. So I also sing at the church, just different things. But my primary focus is playing the drums. I was just on the drums yesterday, matter of fact. So, I'm very, very high on faith because you have to have something to keep you going.
right.
It may not be faith for you, and when I say you, not just referring to you, but the listeners,
Yep.
but you have to find something because just saying it's gonna happen is not. I mean, you could say that all day long. Me talking about something versus me doing something are two totally different things.
Mhm.
And so that's why I try my best to deliver impactful speeches that let people understand that that's what you need. You need some kind of motivation, some kind of backing to get you up out of that bed when you've been there for a month.
Right.
Literally. and you cannot get up. Literally, I'm literally having to pull myself up on the bed rails.
Mm,
That was how they taught me how to get up. Again, I say taught me because I'm trying to get up with just the normal way that I'm used to. I don't have a core anymore. My back is messed up because of the two rods, 12 screws. So I don't have a core anymore. I had to build that. They also had a G tube in my stomach, which is how they fed me and
mm,
how they gave me my medicine. I now have a hole in my stomach. How am I supposed to sit up? Oh, well, you got to pull yourself up. What? I don't, what am I, a little kid now? You know how infants crawl around on the floor and they pull themselves up on the couch?
yeah.
That's how I felt. I felt like I was back at square one, literally. I
Mm,
had to learn how to pull myself back up, had to learn how to walk. You know, I'm asking for people's help. It was just it, humility is one word to use, but I felt like, man, who who would have thought this would have happened to me? That's all I could think.
right. I just want to
Yeah,
go back for a moment here.
yeah, go
Like
ahead.
you spent a long time basically not talking to anybody, not moving, and just letting people do what they need to do for like
Mhm,
over a month there.
mhm,
That's a long time to be in your own mind.
mhm.
And for some people, like they can't even stand being in their own mind for a few minutes. But you were doing that for a whole like a month and more. What was going on in your mind? What was the internal battles that you had? And there must have been something that went clicking in your mind that goes, you know what? I need to get through this. And what was that went through your mind that goes, okay, I can do this. I can move through. I can proceed.
Well, first off, I'm glad you asked that question because as you mentioned, I did write a book and I wrote about that in my book. And one of my chapters in that book, Empathy versus Sympathy, that one right there, and Why Not Me? Those two are big chapters. They're huge chapters to me in my book. And I'll tell you why. So the first one I'll talk about is the Why Not Me. Um, Why Not Me came to me because I'm just sitting there in my bed at this hospital, UNC again. At this hospital, and I'm just like, there's no way that this is real right now. Like, I don't believe this. There's no way. Why would this happen to me? What the frick was I doing to cause something like this to happen to me? And that's all, like you were just saying, I'm in my head now. Why me? And I told you I'm faith based. So now I'm saying, why me, Lord?
Right.
And I'm like, and so I was probably quiet for maybe 2 minutes before I heard, well, why not you? I'm
Mm.
like, hold up. Ain't nobody else in this room. So who was that? When you hear people talk about that voice and you're just like, oh yeah, here we go. Somebody else doing it. Hey man, I'm here to tell you that crap's real.
Mhm.
I've never had that happen to me until that point. Now you might think you've had something happen because you're probably under the influence of something, but I was sober. Okay. And so I'm sitting there in my bed, like, wait, what? Who is? And he was like, well, why not? And he said it again. Why not you? Any other time you can go to the bathroom with no lights on? Any other time you walk around the house late at night, trying not to turn on lights because you don't want to, have that light wake you up? When you were a kid, you used to love playing hide and seek at night because you were the one that could hide the best in the dark.
Mhm.
Stuff like that. And when I realized what he was saying to me is the moral of that story was it can be done.
Mhm.
I just didn't know how. That was all I needed. I, it can be done. Now you just need to figure out the how part.
Mhm.
I quickly started working. I
Mhm.
said, "What can I like? What did I need to do? What? That's
Right.
it. It's everything now is what do I need to do?
Mhm.
And now moving to the empathy versus sympathy part. Um, there's a story, and this is real story. Somebody comes in my hospital room one day. One of my friends, his name is Duck. We call him Duck.
Mhm.
Uh, and he comes in my hospital room to visit me, which he always did. And but this day was just just a little bit different. And I'm like, okay. So he had the little tap on the door. I'm like, oh, somebody's here. You know, they already let me know somebody was coming, but I'm like, oh, okay. And you know, he opens the door. Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? I'm like, huh? He said, what's going on? How you doing, man? How you doing? And just as soft as my voice is right now.
Mhm.
And I said, I'd be doing a whole lot better if it didn't sound like I was dead.
Mhm.
And I said it just like that. He was like, what? I said, bro, you sound like I died. I'm still here talking to you. What are you, why are you acting like that? He's like, oh, no. You know, I know, I was just trying. No, what you need to do is act like I'm still here
Right.
and we're still friends. And you're not coming to my funeral. That's when you could feel that sympathy for me, though. What I need you to do right now is to empathize with what I'm going through. That's all I need. And so, you know, that moment right there when I was like, dude, I don't want any pity parties. We never had them before my accident. Why are we having them now?
Mhm.
And I'm not saying don't treat me differently, but don't start forcing stuff on me either.
Mhm.
And that's two of the things that I always look at when it came to, you know, just getting out of your own head first and foremost, which is not easy. Listen, if it sounds like I'm making this easy, it is not. I still battle today. And my accident again was in 2017,
Mhm.
over 7 years ago. I still battle today because it's still new.
Right.
I lived 25 years with sight. And now you're telling me, here, handle this. Oh, by the way, you can't run like you used to. You can't jump like you used to. Your back's gonna hurt every day. You know, like what? Oh, by the way, you're gonna have to take medicine for the rest of your life.
Mhm. Wow.
You
So
know, so
you talked about the okay, so you made the decision that okay, I'm gonna find a way to make this work. It's
mhm.
just a matter of how. And you kind of
Yes.
talked about the how process, about relearning how to walk, relearning how to get your strength up and all that kind of stuff, and feeling like a child again. When that gets hard again, like even today, you're saying that there's certain things that is hard. When it gets really, really hard, what do you anchor your emotions to get over those challenges, to get over those adversity, so that you're focused on something else rather than in the moment?
Yeah. So kind of like what I already mentioned with the faith, but also like family. That was really huge, especially when I had my accident. Friends coming to the hospital. So listen to what I'm saying, listeners. Like seriously, when one of your family, friends, I don't care who they are, if they go down, have some kind of fall, please, by all means, go visit them. Don't be like, oh, I can't see him like that. Oh, you think they want to be like that?
Mhm.
I truly dislike when people say I can't see him like that. Listen, if they wanted to be like that, they would have written you a note and said, "Don't come see me because I'm about to do this."
Mhm.
That's not what they wrote. So you should go see them because it encourages them. It also says you care. Oh, I'll see them when they get out the hospital, and I still ain't seen you.
Mhm.
So what when you gonna come? You
Right.
know, like that, those types of things. Don't do that. I'd rather you come see me at the hospital so I can hold on. At least you did do that much for me versus a I'm still waiting to see you moment 7 years ago. Okay. Like, you know, and I won't harp too much on it, but I really do wish people would would understand the emotion as well as the, connection behind that, because there is a connection. All the people who came to see me, I paid tribute to them in my book. So if you didn't come see me, hey, that's your loss. Yeah. So, and then also, the other thing I want to say is just find what makes you tick.
Mhm.
I'm musically inclined, very much so. I already mentioned that. Drums. I actually started learning the keyboard when the pandemic hit. Um, I told you I sing already, but I've been playing drums since I was 7.
Right.
So this is not just yesterday. I didn't just start learning yesterday. So the thing about that is I used music, man. Like, you get music going, I'll do it. Listen, man, you put me in a gym with some good music, vibes are being had. Okay. I will spend all day in there.
Hmm.
3 hours is nothing to me in the gym if I got good music.
Wow.
I'm not lying. People, and it's so funny because it's just happened over Thanksgiving break. Um, excuse me. Uh, somebody was like, "Oh, you going to the gym today?" I was like, "Yeah." And that was actually it was Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to the gym." And I came back, and they're like, "Dang, you just getting back from the gym?" I said, "Yeah." What's it been about 3 hours? I said, "Yeah, about 2.5, 3 hours." It was like, "It takes you that long?" I said, "I take my time." Who said you had to rush your workout?
Mhm.
This is your workout. Why can't I take my time in my sanctuary? It makes me feel better. It clears my head, and I'm vibing with the music. That's actually, and that's another thing. Find something that allows you to be you at a moment.
Right.
Because if you're always running for somebody else, at what time do you do self-care?
Mhm.
Self-care is huge to me. Dude, I spend so much time not just not in my room just because I can't see, because I can get around this whole house with no problem. And I can even walk from my house to the front of the neighborhood. I live in a housing development, but I can walk from my house to the front of the neighborhood where the gym and the pool and everything is with no problem.
Oh,
I've
wow.
already been trained on how to do that stuff. But I would rather sit in my room, which I consider my little sanctuary, you know, have my own space, my free will in mind, and just be at peace.
Mhm.
Why not? I don't know. Like, you could probably hear my background. I'm in my room right now. This is how I usually am in my room. It's very quiet. I don't care. Man, listen. I'm sorry to bring Thanksgiving up again, but man, I think I know why I don't have kids, okay? Uh I'm just being honest, man. I think I know why I don't have kids. Don't get me wrong, my kids will probably be sitting down somewhere, but whoa, man, my nephews, they can be rough, okay? These kids run up and downstairs all day long.
Mhm.
If you let them, all day long. See, now, when they're here with me and it's just me, they don't do that.
Mhm.
But when you got other adults, like their parents, who let them do that, oh, they with their cousins, let them go. Hey, man, they might be with their cousins, but they are loud.
Right.
There's a volume control level here. We had to do that when we were younger. Either you're quiet and indoors, or you're loud and outside.
Right.
So, and that's just off a little quick off subject type deal, but getting back to what kind of makes me keep going and fight. What really, to me, was, so my nickname in the military was Kiwi. That's also my childhood nickname.
Mhm.
Kiwi is that fun loving, love to laugh. I'm gonna joke on you. We're gonna run around outside. We're gonna jump on trampolines and do all kind of flips and tricks and everything. We gonna ride dirt bikes. Listen, bikes, everything. I'm that guy. We gonna play football, basketball. Listen, I'm ready to do something fun and adventurous. And the fact that I felt like I couldn't do it, I challenged to myself. We gonna figure out how to do this thing. And when I got introduced to the blind rehab center for the VA, that right there put me on a whole nother trajectory because it taught me, how to navigate, which they call orientation and mobility. It also taught me, man, leather tooling, copper tooling. I made uh, I built a frame for my copper tool, the actual image. I built the frame. I not only this, we're not just talking about stuff that's already made or final finished. I had to sand it. I had to make it smooth. Then I had to put the I forget the prep stuff on it to make it really lay down and like a final product or finished product. I had to put the glue in the frame corners and then put it inside or put these things on the edges to make it like clamp together and stay in that rectangular shape. Like man, listen, I enjoyed all of that. And to do all, I also had to use the saw to cut that frame. Um man, what else did I do? Sheesh. I mean, of course I learned how to cook. Um, I learned how to use the actual stovetop
Mhm.
and the air fryer. Um,
Like that is absolutely fascinating. Being able
yeah,
to do so much things without sight,
yeah,
relying on your other senses, and obviously being coached and mentored by others to show you how. That is an accomplishment on its own. It's absolutely incredible. And
yeah,
not only,
absolutely.
as you mentioned a few times, you wrote a book, and that's not what most
Hmm.
people do, even if they did have sight. I mean, that's something that people procrastinate on. They say they have a book, but
Yeah,
they don't do it. All that kind of stuff. Now,
yeah.
before you decided to write that book, before you decided to go into motivational speaking and mentoring and coaching and helping other people like live their dreams, what were you doing before? Like there must be a moment where you overcame all the hardest parts of your rehab. There must have been this point where you go, well, now what? What's my next path forward? And what was it that then triggered you to go, you know what? I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be speaking. I'm going to be doing books. I'm going to be motivating people. What was that? How was that transition done?
Okay, so first off, I didn't want to speak. Let, let's just be clear. I'm gonna be 100% clear, 100% honest. I was always that kid that even when it came to how when you're in school and you had to read like a passage in the books while you were in class out loud, I didn't want to do that.
I'll
So
usually
me
volunteer to be last. So,
yeah, listen, I would try to trade. Hey, you want to do this instead of me?
and then hope that the
Like,
teacher forgets. So,
yeah, exactly. Kiwan, I thought it was you. No, you picked Alex. So anywho, the thing that actually got me past being nervous in front of people um was knowing what the heck I was talking about.
mhm.
That's what got me past being nervous to speak in front of. I don't care how big the room. It could be one on one. It could be me versus 20. It could be me versus 2,000. It does not matter. If I know what I'm talking about, it makes everything easier. I know what happened to me. It's so easy.
Right.
So being motivational is not the problem. And that does not uh what do you say put a dim light on it, not even a little bit, because what I say is what's the where the impact, where the motivation, where the inspiration, where all that powerful moment comes from. What I say.
Mhm.
Now my story, I know, but what I say and how I frame it is what's going to impact you. So That's one side of it. And then the other flip side to this coin is, wow, the pandemic actually did something to me. It lit a fire under me because I was like, I was doing all right. Don't get me wrong. Before the pandemic, uh, I did a couple speeches, more like, going to the high schools, local high schools of my area, Durham, North Carolina, by the way. Went to speak to my alma mater, Southern High School. Let's see, Jordan High School, because that was my friend, my best friend, his high school. God rest his soul. He passed away a couple years ago. Um, and then it was one of those moments where I was like, doing my recreational therapy. That's what it was. Recreational therapy was helping me go to the YMCA so that I could do like swimming, because swimming, is a total body kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to do more total body, and get my legs back under me, and I was doing so good, man. This is 2019, by the way, and you already know what I'm getting ready to say.
Mhm.
This is 2019,
Right.
and here we're rolling into 2020,
Mhm.
and then here comes March. I won't forget this ever, because of, okay, you never you'll forget what somebody said to you. You'll forget what somebody did to you, but you'll never forget how they made you feel.
Right.
Maya Angelou. Okay, that pandemic made me feel some kind of way because I was doing great. My trajectory and climb was just, I mean, literally going up, 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 and you could not stop me
Mhm.
until everything shut down,
Right.
and I couldn't go to the YMCA anymore. People are now in the house. Like, this is, wait a minute, this is my time now. You guys are supposed to be at work.
Mhm.
That's all I could think. What are we gonna do? Wait, no, they need to figure out a way to get y'all back outside and get me back outside as well. I don't like this. And I kid you not, man, if my mindset did not change, then learning, because again, I told you I wrote a book. By the way, no ghostwriter, all
Mhm.
me. I wrote that book.
Mhm.
The only thing I had help with was editing and formatting, because I've never written a book.
Right.
That's it. Um, and so I did that in 2020 as well. So started it, shall I say. I started it in October of 2020, published in June of 2021. And I also, there was something else I did that year. Oh, wait. Yeah, I relearned how to use a computer that year, I believe, too.
Mhm. So
Because
what,
again,
sorry, like
huh?
what did that trigger you to go write a book? Was it somebody who came up to you and
Oh
told
yeah,
you?
that's what I forgot. My friend that I told you passed away.
Uh,
He would, well, him and others would not leave me alone about writing a book. When I tell you they would not leave me alone, yes, and it was because of my speaking. Remember, I told you I was speaking, but
mhm.
it was just to like high schools and things of that nature. But they knew the impact.
Right.
They could hear the impact, and the story was just so compelling and captivating. And they were like, "Dude, you've got to write a book."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And you know how it is. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, all right. And you just keep saying it. Oh, yeah, I'll get to it maybe one day. Yeah. Well, 1 year turns to two, 2 year turns to three, 3 year, and I'm like, I got to do this. And unfortunately, the year I published was the year he passed away.
Wow.
And it was just shy of when he passed. Well, right after he passed away, I was able to publish it. So he never got a chance to read it.
Wow.
But what I shall say is he has that book in his casket. And because I did go to his funeral, his mom asked me to speak.
Mhm.
And so I went to the funeral. I took a signed copy of my book. Um, I typed out what I wanted to say as far as the speaking for the ceremony or the funeral homegoing service, and I put a printed copy in there in the book, and I put the book in the casket. And I asked his mother, of course, um, I like to be respectful. And
Mhm.
I said, can I put this in his casket because he never got the chance to read it? And she was like, yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
And so, done deal. That book is in his casket, and I will forever know that he read it
Mhm.
because it's in there with him. And
That's
so,
very powerful stuff.
yeah. No, man. It was very touching, first off, but also I felt like I was ready for that. Like that, you know how some people, I can't do this, I can't do this. This is too much for me. Not once did I feel that way.
Mhm.
That and I just told you earlier, I don't like to speak in front of people. But that day, again, what's the caveat? I knew what I was talking about because that I've been knowing him since I was 5 years old. All I spoke about was our life together.
Mhm.
The great times, the bad times, and just the craziness we've done. Like, and I didn't go out of pocket because we are in a church. Don't do that. But I did that, man, and then I sung a song, man, and that's all I did. It was very quick to the point, and man, everybody afterwards was thanking me. People I
Mhm.
hadn't seen in so long from us coming up in school, and they're like, "Man, KIJUAN, I ain't seen you in so long, man." And here goes the same thing I just told you earlier. Man, I'm gonna have to call you, get in touch with you. Still ain't heard from nobody.
Right.
I just don't get that part. I've never understood. But we'll get off the soapbox.
Now, moving forward, like, what is the one thing that speaking gives you that makes you feel like amazing and motivated to keep on doing? What is it that speaking really gives you in life?
Fulfillment.
Mhm.
I remember one time I was speaking to the Shaw University football team in Raleigh, North Carolina. This was about I believe 2 or 3 years ago. And I was speaking to them, but right before their season kicked off. And they got their own auditorium. And the head coach, the reason I even got the speaking engagement was because the head coach used to be my high school football head coach. And he wanted me to come speak. I said, "Oh yeah, no problem. That's not a problem at all. When and where? That's it. That's all I asked. When and where?" First off, I love speaking to young men, but young people in general.
Right.
Everybody needs direction. So that's how I thought of it. And so, um, yeah, I'm on stage, going up on stage, and I'm not like, so how I dress is according to my audience.
Mhm.
That's what I do. If I'm at a corporate event, I'll dress corporately. For these football players, guess what I have on? It ain't no jersey, but I got on a short sleeve polo, just 3 buttons,
Yeah.
some Levi jeans, and some Jordans. Guess what? I look just like you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, um, and of course, I had on some shades, but I just wear shades all the time since I'm visually impaired now. But
Right.
anywho, as I'm speaking to them, you could hear a pin drop.
Mhm.
And I spoke to them for an hour. That's hard to do for a football team. And nobody was snoring, by the way. I just want to be clear. Nobody was snoring.
Right.
And the coach, head coach was standing off to the side of the stage as he was, viewing the audience, but also listening to my story because he had never heard it either. Um, and so at the end, I close it out, of course, but I open the floor to questions because I really just want these young men to understand what I just said to them. And again, this was about my accident, the same thing we're talking about. Everything I laid it all out, even down to women, like because I know that what they're dealing with, especially in college, you're dealing with women. I know you are. There's no way you're not, unless you go to an all boys school, and they did not. So, uh, at the end, I opened up the floor, and this one guy said, uh, "What? What is? How did he phrase that question?" He said, "Um, did you did you think this was something that you would always do, like, or was it just like a thing that you just tried to do?" I was like, "Well, honestly, I found this as a passion after a while. It was something that I pursued because I understood the value in it."
Right.
And when he asked me the question, all I could do is smile. I wish I could see the take from it because I just started smiling instantly.
Right.
Because nobody's ever asked me that.
Mm.
And you get a teenager, maybe a 20-year-old to ask you that. What the heck? Like that was just be that right there told me what I was doing mattered when he asked me. You
Mm.
could get adults that do it all the time. They probably got a list of questions that they wrote down. He didn't write anything. He's
Mm.
just sitting in the audience observing and listening. So it's different. It feels different. And that moment right there enlightened me on the fact that yes, this is what I want to do.
Mm. Compared to like, because you spoke before, when before the accident, and you spoke in front of people before, you've had that experience. What was the biggest adjustment that you had to make after the accident, being visually impaired and speaking to like big audiences? What do you have to adjust in your mind, preparation wise? What was it that you need to do now?
This is kind of like a two-part question, but I'm gonna try to make this quick. So I used to also be an actor
Mm.
before I joined the Air Force. So I used to do on stage acting, like literally plays and stuff. Um, and the reason I bring that up is because I could work the stage is what we call it in showbiz. I could work the stage. Well, now since I can't see anything, it's so much harder to do because I don't want to fall. You know what I mean? And as comical as it is, people fall all the time and they can see. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but people fall off the stage all the time. They try to cover it up, oh, it was bad lighting and listen, I know what that stage is. You should have went out on the stage and checked it before you got up on it.
Mm.
That's what they told us. Go check the stage, walk your areas, blah blah, before you get up there. And so the biggest thing that I feel I wish I could do anyway is be able to work the stage, man.
Mhm.
Because if especially if it's a okay, I get a two-part stage or a section audience section, but if it's a three-part, oh man, when you get directly in front of this side of the audience, this side of the audience is not so much that they're jealous, but they're like, wait, why he going over there? Like now your attention because their attention is moving.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, well, let me finish with you guys and go back over here. And they just see you moving and working. It's it's a it's a piece to the puzzle, but it's an added layer more so than anything
Right.
because you get to work that stage and make sure people are captivated and still with you. Whereas if I'm standing stationary, all I can do is kind of gesture that way. Like it's not the same. And that's one of the biggest differences I wish I could do uh, uh, when it comes to speaking.
One of the greatest fears of most people is public speaking and speaking in front of people. And biggest reason of that is because they see everybody looking at them. So if you don't mind me asking, is it easier for you? Like, does it matter if it's like you did say that it's once you know what you're going to talk about, it doesn't matter if it's one person or a large audience. But does the excitement or the nervousness change if it's in a big group or a small group? Do you rather somebody tell you, yeah, there's 10,000 people out there, or not tell you at all and just let you go out there?
I know you saw me laughing. It's funny that you asked me this question because I tell the people this all the time. I don't care how you look at me. I can't see you. No joke. I say it all the time. You can look at me every which way you want. I can't see you. All I know is what I'm saying to you.
Mm.
And so your intimidating looks don't bother me. The audience size doesn't bother me. It's just one of those things. And so like it's like peaceful. You feel like like I feel like I'm running through flowers. And I also have had it happen where I was speaking at my old base, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro, North Carolina. And this was for a farewell ceremony for the airplane that I told you about. They were getting a new airplane, but they allowed us to come up and speak if we wanted. And I did. And I had no clue how many people were in this hangar. We were in a airplane hangar. And for those that don't realize anything about airplane hangars, they're massive. They are. They're
Yep.
huge. And so I'm up there in front of everybody. Somebody's walked me up front, because I was sitting, I guess you could say somewhat in the back, but walked me up to the front. And funny enough, the I think it was the wing commander. The wing commander's like, Kiwi? Because he was just coming back from a different command somewhere else in the US. And he was like, Kiwi? I said, hey, sir, how you doing? He was like, oh, man, it's good to see you. I said, yes, sir. He's like, I didn't know you were coming in today. I said, well, we all have surprises. Just short talk, short, sweet. And he was like, here you go. And he handed me the mic. And I started speaking. Got up there, talked about the plane, no problem. And then I, handed him back the mic. He's like, man, that was awesome, by the way. And so I walk off. And I said, hey, Nathan, how many people are in here? Didn't even know. Like I just randomly wanted to know. I said, how many people are in here? He said that the whole wing. I said, okay, I think I can get that part. But do you know how many people that might be? He said, I think it's about 1,500.
Ooh.
No clue. I'm just up there. And that's not even including the family members
Mhm.
that were there in attendance. That's just the wing.
Right.
Because there were family members in attendance. Trust me, I was like, oh, hey, how you doing? Meeting people. So yeah, hey, I can't see you. I don't know what you're looking at. I just know what I'm saying.
Right. The time has gone by very fast. I got two more formal questions for you for this interview. The first one is, what is something that you could share with everybody that you had to make a very interesting adjustment to so that you're able to do what other people do? For instance, you said you went skiing. Well, how does one do that when you can't ski, when you can't see? You said you're now you learn how to use the computer. Well, I, for one, cannot fathom how that could work if most of the computer stuff is visual. So is there something that you could share as to the most interesting one that most people would have no idea about that you had to do for adjustment wise?
Yeah. So two things that actually coincide in those two examples you gave, the skiing and the computer. I've done both before I lost my sight.
Mhm.
So that was two things that actually helped. That I had done both before I lost my sight. Now, the big thing, especially for skiing, because I had only done that once, literally one time in New Mexico. Um, the big thing for that, you gotta listen. You had to listen. Otherwise, you were going off into the trees, or you were gonna run into something was gonna go wrong. And so when she was talking to me through the headset, I was just, I don't care what else was going on around me. The only thing I was listening to was her voice because that was my guide. that was how I was going to get to the bottom of that hill safely. Her voice, I trusted in because that was all I had. She was my coach.
Mhm.
And so listening and trust, and hopefully you got somebody that's good that you could trust in. And she had been doing this thing for a long time. Like,
Mm,
sheesh, I think she said 20, 30 years, something like that, with visually impaired folks.
right.
And so you want to get a great coach. And like I I can't stress this enough. Listening. I really can't because people, they hear one thing and then they start acting. No, listen to so if I told you, hey, I need you to pick up this, then go do this, and you'll result in this. But if all you hear is pick up this and then you take off, guess what you missed? Two other steps.
Right.
And guess what might happen? Something bad. So, it's the whole listening means listening to the entirety of
Mm,
what you need to do in order to be or get something done safely, shall I say.
right.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
Did you have to go through exercises or something to enhance your listening and your sense of touch? Because I'm gonna assume that those two are very, very integral in everything that you do now. So what kind of exercises did you do to help that be more sensitive, let's say?
I don't think I went through any exercises. Listening, gosh, ever since my accident, listening is I can hear stuff that I don't want to hear, put it that way. Like, well, I'm trying to think of the name of that thing that's in my house right now that keeps making noise. It only does it in the winter.
Your fire alarm?
Uh, it's like the heating element for your house.
Uh,
For whatever reason, that thing vibrates in the winter because it's working so hard.
mhm.
Well, it's in our what do you call that thing? Attic. It's in the attic. And it vibrates all the way down to the foundation. So if my ear is on the pillow, like pressed to the against the pillow, I hear it like double time.
Oh.
It almost sounds like something's hovering over my house. So you get this
Hmm.
sound, and I'm like, what in the world is that? Oh, that stupid thing.
Right.
And we got it, fixed last year, but it's right back at it, man.
Mhm.
And anywho, with listening, I haven't taken like any course or, had any teachings. The biggest thing is just, okay, here's how I define listening. The same letters that spell listen also spell silent. And you can't listen unless you're silent.
Very good.
So that is the biggest thing that I always tell. The same letters, same six letters that spell listen also spell silent. And you cannot be listening unless you're silent.
Great
So
stuff.
that is the biggest thing and man, my feel uh sometimes I don't like what I feel. I've actually felt something crawling on me before. Thankfully, because I think it was like a little spider or something, and it was right on my neck.
Mm.
It was on my neck, like right in this area. And I felt something, and I think I was laying down or something. We hadn't done our pest control stuff yet that year. And I was laying down. I was like, now, Harry, when I tell you I moved as fast as you just saw me move, that's what happened. That I grabbed it and I squeezed it and I threw it. But when, like, my instincts now are so ridiculous
Mm.
and I just act off of instinct. I don't second guess anything. I'm not second guessing anything since I can't see. So when they tell you, you know, your gut, follow that gut, man, that's the way to go, man. Follow
Mm.
it.
Awesome. Actually, I do have one more
Okay.
follow-up question for you, and that is to sum up motivation. when you
Mhm.
help people get motivated, when you get yourself motivated, what are some of the key things that one must do to be motivated?
Some of the key things that one must do to be motivated. That's actually a pretty loaded question. But I'm gonna do my. I'm just being honest. One thing that I mentioned earlier: find that thing that makes you vibe. For me, like I told y'all, it's music. For some, it might be writing. For others, it might be watching their favorite TV show. Whatever makes you, because I do have TV shows that I love and they'll take me out of a negative headspace. You don't get motivated if you're negative. If you're in a negative headspace, I promise it doesn't work together. That's two totally clashing things. So to be motivated, man, I'll say key things. You have to find that vibe. Get you some good balance. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean learn how to balance on one foot. I mean, if you are working more than you're spending time with your family, eventually that's going to run out because your family's only in your household maybe 18 to 21 years, okay? And you know it takes 30 years usually to retire from a job. So you're going to miss out on your family's life.
Mhm.
So find great balance in not just working. I mean, but that's an example. You know what I mean? So things like that, and man, phew, when when it feels like you have nothing else in the tank, fine, keep going. When you feel like you have nothing else in the tank, because I've had those days, just keep going.
Awesome stuff. Um, a random few rapid fire questions. Give me the first thing that comes to mind. You're stranded on a deserted island, and you get to eat one food for the rest of your life with no consequence. So you still be in shape, and you'll still be high energy. What's that one food that you would love to eat for the rest of your life?
Pizza.
Nice choice. Hollywood calls and goes, "Hey, Kiwan, we love your story. We think you're very motivational and very inspiring. We would like to do a biopic of you. Who would you cast to play you?"
Ooh, it's either going to be Will Smith or Denzel.
Awesome. So let's say both of them are auditioning for the role to play you, but you get to do the final decision. So they show up at your door, both of them, and goes, "Hey, buddy, Kiwan, let's hang out, let's get to know each other." And you go, "No worries. I got the entire night planned out. What does that night with Will Smith and Denzel look like to you?"
First off, we gonna talk about how they became so successful so quickly. But secondly, I just want to. I'm gonna be asking a lot of questions to them, to be honest. Like, what's their life like? How is it possible to be such, true celebrities and be able to move without always being chased? If that's a possibility, maybe they got bodyguards everywhere. Maybe they're just staying in a certain area. Maybe they have like, because I think Shaq or somebody, he used to have it where his house was so big he didn't have to leave. Stuff like that. And I wonder if it's things like that. But if we went somewhere, I would go more. I'm a beach kind of guy. I like water. So we would go somewhere like uh either an island or some really nice beach. I know Guam has really nice beaches. I've been there, so stuff like that, and just hang out, sipping drinks, trying to, like I say, get into their head because I'm that type. I like to understand, and again, I'm gonna be listening and just taking it all in, man, and then giving them what they will need uh, of my story in order to make the movie pop like I want.
Awesome. You're heading towards your next big speaking engagement, and it's hours and hours road on the road. There's only one song that you can listen to over and over again. What's that one song? And would you mind singing a bar?
Oh my gosh, so many songs just popped in my head. One of my favorites that I've been listening to here recently, "So Good" by Ty Tribbett, and he's a gospel artist, but it goes so good, you have been so good, so good. You have been so good. Everybody, you said so good. Oh, 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 oh. And it's got like a tribal innocence kind of beat.
Mhm.
So I like beats that are different. Not just a straightforward kind of thing. But yeah, that was my singing voice of trying to be quiet.
Nicely done. Awesome. My final question is, how would you define success?
How would I define success? Success, honestly, is in the eye of the beholder. And what I mean by that is the person who it is for. Me, my success is defined as did I do what I want to do? Like, for example, my book, it's a success to me. Everybody's like, oh, how many copies did it sell? That's not what I did it for. I wrote my book to get my vulnerabilities out to the public and those who can relate.
Mhm.
And I've gotten so much feedback in that regard. That is success to me. So if whatever you're doing is able to accurately define what you wanted it to do, success.
Nicely done. Well, thank you very much for your time and all your great tips. What's the best way for people to connect with you, get your book, and also any final words, last words for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to connect to me with me on social media, I'm on Facebook, X now. Also LinkedIn, and all of those are KIJUAN Amey. My name is KIJUAN AMEY. And then I also have my website, amymotivation.com. Again, that is AMEY motivation.com. You also find those same links there and how to book me if you would like to have me come do a motivational speaking engagement for you.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much. So everybody, make sure you connect with Kiwan, get his book, listen to some of his content. He has some videos as well. So lots of powerful stuff there. Thank you very much again. He's Kiwan. My name is Fong. Until next time. Today is the day to unlock your peak potential. We'll see you later.